Hi, my name is Molly Lima. I want to thank you all so much for coming out here tonight, for all of the support that I have received as well. Also, thank you to our host, the Clayton Tribune, and thank you for keeping us accountable, nobody more so than myself, after last week's debate. Also, thank you for the responsible journalism and for running a clarification in this next week's newspaper about last week's quote. My husband Tony and I have 2 little girls who will be in the Rabun County School District for many years to come. The National School Boards Association says that the school board members are as diverse as the democracy that they serve. Our school board lacks that diversity. We need to put a parent on the school board and give a large percentage of our stakeholders a voice that will be heard. I'm committed to listening first and leading thoughtfully and respectfully, and to building strong partnerships to find the best results for our children. I hope to earn your trust and your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Faircloth?
Hi, I'm Cherie Faircloth. I'm also running for School Board Post 5. I'm running because I don't think that anyone needs to be holding an elected office for 16 years. Many of our school board members have been serving for that long, and I believe that can lead to questionable circumstances in some cases. I'm also running because I want to encourage everyone to become involved in your community local governments. I'm running on accountability, transparency. Those are 2 broad terms, but I think it's time that we become very fiscally aware and fiscally responsible for these SPLOST dollars that we're spending. I want to see school safety improved. I believe that some of this SPLOST money could go toward supplying the schools with safer options. And accountability. I want to see fairer hiring practices for teachers. And I also want to make sure that the teachers inside the classroom are taken care of with their salaries.
Thank you. Clark, first question, please.
This question is for both candidates. What from your past experiences qualifies you for a position on the Board of Education?
Ms. Faircloth?
I have a strong stance on education. I am a single parent. I raised my daughter and put her through school. And I've seen bad schools and good schools, and Rabun County certainly has a very good school system on the inside of the schools as well as the infrastructure. I have a degree in public health as well as a BA in psychology. I've been a journalist and in marketing and advertising for over 25 years, so I do bring some of those skill sets to the table. I've also been very involved in every form of local government, no matter where I live, because I believe it's important that if you live in a community, it's your duty and responsibility to hold your elected officials accountable. And that's what I would like to see happen here with the school board, is that we need to take a closer look at the school board and what they are doing up there.
Ms. Lima?
I think the great thing about politics that makes us all able to run for these positions is that it is a public position. So again, putting the public back in the government and putting somebody who's a parent with children going through the school district for many, many years to come, I think will serve us well in the fact that, again, it goes back to that diversity that's so lacking in the school board right now. I do have a background in law enforcement. I have a lot of connections with law enforcement. So as far as the safety aspect of our schools and school security, et cetera, I have a lot of experience there that I can bring to the school board in working in a partnership with local law enforcement, even all the way up to the federal law enforcement level. It's very important to remember that it's not just our local law enforcement that will respond when an incident occurs. It's all the way up to the ATF that will be responding potentially. So it's very important that we are building these partnerships between the community, parents, all of the stakeholders, etc.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. We'll now turn for the next question to Cricket Workizer.
What is your specific top priority for the Board of Education, and how will you accomplish it?
Ms. Lima.
My top priority is transparency, and this goes into every other aspect, so it's sort of a blanket statement. I apologize for that, but truly, I think that it all begins with transparency. We have so many different stakeholders here involved, with the parents needing to know what's going on in their schools, needing to have a say, with the taxpayers needing to know what exactly their money is going to, and having a say in that. I think that there's a huge lack of communication and transparency that's going on in our school board right now, and with this good old boy or secret society environment, it just breeds some negative feelings with all of the stakeholders. And I think that with that transparency, you solve so many issues. Communication is so very, very important, especially when this is the public's board here. We're not in this just for ourselves. This is us serving the public.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. Ms. Faircloth.
Outside of my desire to see more of our community members involved in their local government, and certainly the school board definitely needs that kind of involvement, my top priority is to take a close look at the SPLOST funding that has been rolling since 1997. We're moving into our 5th cycle of SPLOST. We have a beautiful school system. The infrastructure is great. SPLOST funding, of course, goes to capital improvements. Also retiring municipal bond debt from previous SPLOST for building. And there's just, we need to take a look at the SPLOST. We need to ask, why do we continue to fund SPLOST cycle after cycle after cycle? What else do we need in the way of building and infrastructure? In fact, in some of my research, there is a Standard & Poor press release.
Ms. Faircloth, you've reached your time.
Thank you. Well, I've got it.
Clark.
Ms. Faircloth, this question's for you. You've outlined a plan to boost school security that includes adding school resource officers and external cameras on school buses. What is your plan for paying for these security upgrades?
I believe that, again, the local dollars that we do control within that $25 million school budget, I do believe that there has to be some category there that would allow for improving school security, and that would include salaries of additional school resource officers. Some of that cost is, I believe, shouldered by the Sheriff's Department, and then there's some contribution by the school board as well. And I would like to see, there's a lot of safety features that can be put into the classrooms to lock those classrooms down quickly, as well as the front offices. And that, I believe, would fall under some of this SPLOST spending, since it's capital improvements, renovations, hardware, etc. I believe that we could find the money to make those schools safer. Right, as it is, we're sitting right on 441. It's an easy access to all of our children in one place right now.
Thank you. Ms. Werkheiser.
For Ms. Lima? What plans would you work on to enact school security upgrades, and how would you pay for them?
I agree with Cherie. There's got to be a lot of the budget that can be trimmed down in certain areas if we really get in there and look at it. And I think that it's important that we don't think that ourselves we have all the answers. I think that it's very important that we all reach out to develop focus groups and to ask other people what their ideas are as well, and to be a listening ear to those ideas, and where can you cut down, school bus routes, where can we do any sort of trimming off fat that we can, and that can certainly be devoted into improving our school security. I think that we need to look at other aspects as well, such as looking into retired police officers that might want to just volunteer their services into the schools, And the liability there is less so than arming teachers and hardware, et cetera.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. Clark?
This question's for both candidates. The committee to eliminate Rabun County school tax burden on seniors and disabled persons is petitioning for signatures to get their measure on the ballot for the county's voters. If the voters opted to allow the exemption, would you advocate budget cuts or increased property taxes, and why?
Ms. Faircloth?
It's the tax, the way that I understand it, I am not associated with this group. I have followed what they're doing some, but it's my understanding that this is not an elimination of a tax, but simply a tax shift, and a very small one at that. So I don't see that there would be a need to increase taxes. I believe that in the state of Georgia, where 90 to 100 counties in Georgia already have this exemption for seniors, I don't understand why our Board of County Commissioners is so adamant that this doesn't go on the ballot for a vote. I don't understand that. I believe that we really do need to have a chance to say whether or not we want to see this tax exist, or this tax exemption exist.
Thank you, Mr. Faircloth. Ms. Lima?
I agree with Ms. Cherie about what she said. It should come down to the public voting on whether or not the public wants to allow this tax break. And I agree, it sounds like it's not actually a break so much, it's just a tax shift. So if it is just shifted, it's going to be a tax increase for some of us, absolutely. But luckily, we all get a vote. So that's the great thing about this, is that we can all voice our opinions and we can all vote on it, and whomever prevails, and we will find a way and we will deal with it, because budgets change every single year. It's not an unheard of thing. So you make do with what you have, and if you have to get creative, then you get creative. But I don't foresee asking for a tax increase other than just the shift that would inevitably happen as a result.
Thank you. Ms. Werkheiser?
You spoke of not wanting to change Rabun County. You love it as it is, and that is why you moved here. How can you advocate no change when progress demands change?
Ms. Lima? That question, I think, was directed at you.
Okay. Saying there's no change is a little bit different than advocating. I don't want to see Rabun County ever turn into what Colorado has become. We do absolutely have to stay with the current times. We have to give our kids the chance to grow up in a world that is inevitably going to change, and they have to keep up with that. We have to keep up with that. However, Rabun County is a very unique demographic here. We do have a lot of retired people, so it might slow that down and might not change quite as rapidly. But what I would really like to say, never, ever, ever want to see is the legalization of marijuana in Georgia for recreational use, because it absolutely changed Colorado like that. Now they've got 10,000 people moving in every single month to the state that I once knew, and it's a completely different state. So I don't want that to happen here. And I don't know that I'll have any chance to keep marijuana from becoming legal, but
Thank you. Thank you. Clark?
Ms. Faircloth, this question's for you. Your child attended Rabun-Gabnacucci School. You have stated that you intend to eventually run for a Rabun County Board of Commissioners seat. What is your investment to the Rabun County Board of Education?
I want to see the Board of Education become accountable to the citizens, tax-paying citizens. I want to see the school board opened up, and I want to see transparency. My commitment to the school board is no different than my commitment to, if I am able to run for the Board of County Commission. Basically, I want to see transparency come to the community. I want to see accountability. And again, I'm going to, the SPLOST taxes. really are concerning and need to be looked at more carefully before we vote for yet another cycle after this one is completed. My commitment is to have, I want to see everything fair for taxpayers as well as our kids and the teachers. I mean, there needs to be a balance. That's what I want to bring.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth.
This question is for both of you. What is your view on standardizing testing accountability for students and teachers?
Ms. Faircloth.
Well, the current pressure that comes in the classroom on both the teachers and the students is horrendous from what my research tells me. Standardized testing, the pressure teachers have that, their jobs are on the line if they don't perform, if the kids don't perform a certain way. The kids are really stressed out year after year, mentally and physically over these tests. I don't think that that's fair. I think that, in fact, Obama just did away last year with the No Child Left Behind. That has opened up the state to become more flexible in their decision to continue with Common Core and standardized testing. So the state of Georgia does have the ability to say no to Common Core. There's a lot of money attached to these programs.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. Ms. Lima?
Well, this is a lot longer than a 1-minute question that I feel very, very passionately about. So I'm going to try to squeeze it in as quickly as I can. But basically, standardized testing has just done a spiral to our country, and it has tanked us big time. So we have now a teacher dropout crisis, where 47% of our teachers are leaving the teaching career after 5 years. We have one of the lowest rates of people enrolled in colleges and universities going into the education field because they don't want to deal with it. We have people, friends of mine on Facebook, last week were talking about how their kids were vomiting, not sleeping. People were recommending psychiatrists to people's children because of what these tests are doing. So not only that, but then we also have the focus shift that occurred from teaching all sorts of things to teaching to the test. That's where the money went. And it opened the door for us to forget about school security as well. And I have a quote that I would love to tell you guys, but I'm out of time, so see me afterwards.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. Clark?
Question is for both candidates. What has your research into this position revealed to you about local school salaries in comparison to similar sized and neighboring school districts?
Ms. Lima.
We pay very competitively, I'll say. We have a very high salary, it seems like, for at least 9 of our school employees. I said it before in the last debate for the GOP. I think that it is very important that we do recruit the best talent that we can. Not only do we recruit the top best talent that we can, they in turn will recruit the best teachers, and we can retain the best teachers. That's great for our economy as a whole. Where it gets a little bit tricky is when you meet with people and they literally shed tears because their family, who works for the school district, is trying to scrape enough money together every single couple weeks, month, just to make their mortgage payment, let alone, put food on their table. So there's a balance that it's hard to look at.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. Ms. Faircloth?
This is one of my favorite subjects, as I've done the research. In one of the Clayton Tribune articles dated March the 6th, 2014, regarding the Georgia Power assessed property value as it relates to school taxes, etc. Before Matt Arthur left his position as superintendent, I believe that was in 2014 or 2015, he stated in this particular article that 85% of the school board's budget goes to pay personnel. Now, that's a lot. That's an awful lot. And again, that's directly out of the Clayton Tribune. There are administrative salaries that I would love to see scrutinized. I would love for somebody to go in and tell me why we need 2 assistant principals in the elementary, 2 assistant principals in the primary. Why do we need so many people in the tech department? We've got assistant techs and IT techs coming out of our ears. We're paying these people. 85% of the school board's budget goes to pay personnel.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth.
That's from Matt Arthur.
Ms. Borkheiser?
This is a question for both of you. If you suggest change for school salaries, what specifically would you propose?
Ms. Faircloth?
When you say school salaries, I'm assuming that you're including administrative as well as teacher salaries. First of all, teacher salaries are mandated by the state of Georgia. If the state says pay a math teacher $40,000, you pay a math teacher $40,000, and they do assist in that payment. However, we do add local supplements onto teacher salaries, and those are earned based on their responsibilities, their education level, etc. I would just, I'd like to see us gain more control over the administrative salaries. That's what I think is out of control. 9 out of 10 of the salary in the Tribune, 9 out of 10 of those top paid salaries in the county, I believe this is the fact, basically is all the school board.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. Clark?
This question is for both candidates. The most recent educational SPLOST, which provides $19 million in funding for Rabun County schools, was passed by 67% of the voters in March 2015. What is your view of the continued use of this tax?
Ms. Faircloth?
Okay, the SPLOST dollars, again, as I have looked at everything, I continue to be troubled by SPLOST spending. We are now in our 5th cycle, as I mentioned. We are going to construct a ag tech building, and we're going to renovate a cafeteria that, in my understanding, that cafeteria is less than or around 5 years old. Meanwhile, as I started to say earlier, I found a press release dated 2/12/2016 from Standard & Poor, where the Rabun County Building Authority and the Rabun County School District bond notes have been downgraded from AA- to A+. Now, this is very technical. I won't go into it. It's available on the internet. But bottom line, we have runaway spending. SPLOST dollars are specific.
Finish your sentence, please.
However, when we are borrowing from one SPLOST to pay off bond notes on an earlier SPLOST, you have to question that.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. Ms. Lima, I do believe we skipped you on if you suggest change for school salaries. What specifically would you propose? Would you like to answer that now?
Yes. That, again, is a question that I don't think that I should be the one person to answer. Of course, this is a debate, so that's kind of what we're here for. But I think that doing focus groups and talking to the public, talking to the people that are working in the schools, talking to other school districts surrounding us, seeing what they do, seeing what works well, seeing where they can reduce some of the spending, be it the higher salary people, then I think that we all need to look at that very, very seriously, because it does seem like there are some excessive salaries. But, again, we need to pull in the public back into our public schools and make these decisions ones that we can all be happy with, that the teachers are happy with, the administration's happy with, the parents, and the community.
Thank you, Ms. Lima, and the question that was just posed. The most recent educational splosh, which provides $19 million in funding for Rabun County schools, was passed by 67% of the voters in March 2015. What is your view of the continued use of this tax?
As a Republican, tax is kind of like, just hearing the word is sort of like nails on a chalkboard to me, just because that's who I am as a Republican. However, if it's something that is justifiable, then yeah, we take it to the voters. And again, put the public back into our public schools and let these voters decide if they're going to pay these tax dollars to these projects. What I have come to understand from people who actually work in that cafeteria in the high school is that it's basically like an oven in there. There's not great working conditions. So if that's something that really is going on, then yeah, we need to look at that. But again, we have to look at this. We have to make wise decisions. If we're going to come to the public and ask for tax dollars to be coming in, then we need to be able to justify why we're asking for your hard-earned money.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. That concludes the question part of this. Now, as the order drew by straws, for closing statements, we will first go to Ms. Lima.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the Tribune, and thank you to Cherie for a great debate. I hope that you were all able to hear a lot of great information. Of course, these 1-minute talking points, it's really hard for us to get our information out there. So I ask that you all go to my campaign page. It is a Facebook page because if I'm going to preach fiscal responsibility, my own campaign expenditures are going to be as frugal as possible, and it's free. So you can still go to the Facebook page even if you do not have a Facebook account. It's Facebook.com/Molly Lima Rabun, BOE. And I really encourage you all to contact us, to ask us questions, to call us, to email us. Thank you so much again for all of the support that I've received. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for being here tonight.
This Thursday at 5:30. No, it's my understanding that no one enters that school board building to attend the meeting, and that has to change if we want these other things to change as well. The SPLOST spending is extremely troubling. If you do a lot of research, if you look online, you will see that it's troubling. We need to correct that, and we need to ask questions and establish committees, oversight committees on SPLOST spending as Glenn County has.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. This concludes the Clayton Tribune's debate for Board of Education Post 5. We'd like to say special thanks to Ms. Cherie Faircloth and Ms. Molly Lima for their participation. Special thanks to panelists Cricket Werkheiser and Clark Bird, and our live audience and those viewing our live stream. Ms. Faircloth.
In closing, very short and sweet, I want your vote. I really do. Because again, I believe that I have what it takes to go into that school board and open it up to the public. Accountability, transparency, and improved school safety are the biggest, planks of my platform. And I encourage every one of you to attend the school board meeting that's coming up this Thursday at 5:30. No, it's my understanding that no one enters that school board building to attend the meeting, and that has to change if we want these other things to change as well. The SPLOST spending is extremely troubling. If you do a lot of research, if you look online, you will see that it's troubling. We need to correct that, and we need to ask questions and establish committees, oversight committees on SPLOST spending as Glenn County has.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. This